Oi, what's the best game where you get to eat pie? What's the best game where you play a dead guy? Aye, you'll find out in VG247's podcast. Here, what's the best game where you swing from a rope? And what's the best game where you batter the Pope? Like I said, you will find out in this your podcast.
Right, listen, right, before we carry on, snack check, right? I've got a Ritter Sport cornflake chocolate bar, right?
Right.
I've got...
for all the sports that you do.
I've got listen, right? I've got a cheddar Baby Bell and an Emmental Baby Bell, right?
Baby bells.
Wait, so what are the red baby bells?
They're
Seriously?
Edam.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Is this situation like mini cheddars where the original one is the worst?
Yeah, possibly. I've got tandoori peanuts.
Jim, Jesus Christ. Can we just put some
I've got,
snacks away?
I've got white chocolate Leibniz, if anyone's after that. Anyone else got snacks?
Are you just sat
I have
like
leftover
inside
Domino's
Lidl?
pizza.
Are you inside like a supermarket? What's
I
this?
have a calorie mate from Metal Gear Solid.
Nice. I've also got a crunchy peanut bar.
Jim.
So I thought that would keep me going for 2 hours. The way Tom
I guess I could suck this sweet tea lemonade pocket back that I've got.
the way Tom was like, the way you said Jim there, like it was the same way my dad says Jim when I order the mixed grill. Okay, right. So now Tom, as you know, we're joined by Tom Ori and Kelsey Rayner and James Bilcliffe for the Best Games Ever podcast this week. Thank you so much. Now, Tom got in contact with me last week and he said, "Look, Jim, I love what you do with the show. I think it's brilliant, right? And I don't want to ruin the magic, but what we want to do really is get it away from this topical stuff. Nothing about the election, nothing about any current events, even in game news. Really, we just want it to be a very simple, evergreen show, and you can listen to it whenever. You don't have to remember what's going on in the news when it was recorded." And I thought, all right, okay, well, what's a universal thing that everyone loves doing? Wherever they are, whenever they are, right? And it's going for a wee, isn't it? Everyone loves going for a wee. So I
love
thought
is a strong word.
everyone loves relieving themselves, right? And I thought, well, there's plenty of games where you can do that, so let's explore that.
This is only because, Jim, you went and stayed in the middle of the woods and had to get up in the night and go to have a wee in a dark, haunted cabin or something, right?
Are the people even going to be aware of that when this goes out?
No.
Oh, yeah, they will be. No.
Will they? I don't know.
Yeah, well, probably. Yeah, well, that's true. But it didn't. That wasn't what inspired me to start thinking about this topic or anything.
It's always on your mind, really, isn't it? A lot of your work over the years has been P adjacent, I'd say.
Is that a clever way of saying it's all been shite? Right, okay. So let's move on. I can already see Kelsey wincing. I'm sorry for the next hour of your life. Right, so the best game where you get to do a wee-wee, I thought would be a great topic, because there's loads of games, weirdly, where there's sufficient interaction with the world where you can just, you can do that. You can just go for a wee. So, and what's the best one of those games where that can happen in? And I think because...
I won this, by the way, just to get a slight head start on everybody. I've definitely won.
Does yours
I
involve...
definitely haven't won, so fair enough. Yeah.
I've won. I've picked the best game.
Tom,
Clearly the best game.
does yours involve Gary Coleman?
No, but that's not a good game, is
Yeah,
it?
it's a bad game, but I was just testing. Right, okay. Let's first of all go and ask Bilcliffe, because James, we haven't heard from you for a while. So, in your estimation, what's the best game that you can go and do a P in?
Have we actually started this, by the way?
Yeah, it's recorded.
Yeah, I was surprised as well when when it happened. I was like, "This is live. Is it? It's happening.
Yeah,
it's a thing."
yeah. Okay, fair enough. I'll just get going.
Well, that's the other note I keep getting. You snap your intros. So this is a snappy intro, baby. Right.
Yeah, snappy as it gets. I think Tom's going to be really annoyed that I've chosen this game because I've not tried very hard. But it is a game that briefly formed pretty much the entirety of my personality, because I played it on PS Plus in about 2013 or something, and it's a brilliant game that mixes a lot of my favorite stuff, and it's Sleeping Dogs. And
Good game, that.
I'm not sure. The sigh. Did you get the sigh and the noise I made?
did get the sigh. I got the sigh.
James has won.
Well, no, I don't think that. Look, we all
I'm
know
not
that
that
Jim likes it.
shallow.
I know, exactly. There's been loads of games that Jim really loves that he hasn't picked over the years, but I actually genuinely really like Sleeping Dogs because it's such a good mixture of like the peak of PS3 open world game design, that it has all of the like morality systems and the clothes and the driving and the missions and all of that stuff, but also like drills down into those like really classic Golden Harvest Kung Fu movies that I like so much. So Sleeping Dogs, if you haven't played it, is you play as Wei Shen, who's like an undercover cop in Hong Kong who goes, as I say, undercover to bust up some triad gang and do all that sort of stuff. And that's like a really prevalent trope in a lot of the classic 70s, 80s Kung Fu movies. Like you think of like Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee. That's basically on a Majesty's Secret Service, but it's got Bruce Lee in it. And then like I think it's Police Story 2, where Jackie Chan goes undercover, and it's basically Sleeping Dogs is basically all of these awesome films smushed together with the GTA-like trope kind of laid over the top of it. But I think where Sleeping Dogs is better than so many of its contemporaries, and I'm sure Alex Donaldson will agree with this, is the best Square Enix game ever, because it actually does something better than GTA, and that's the combat.
Yeah.
With the kung fu stuff, with the parkour, with the interactivity in the different martial arts moves that you can do. It's actually really engaging.
And the car combat as well.
And the car combat too. And I think with that, Sleeping Dogs is the game that people think they're about to play when they start playing Yakuza. And obviously I love Yakuza. I think it's all of those games that are 5 stars, 10 out of 10. But it's just such a different vibe in there. It's a very Western game with that kind of Hong Kong style into it too. And that's where the going for a week comes in. You get your own little apartment, you can change your clothes, you can customize your little stuff, and obviously the toilet works. You can
do you see it happen?
That's
do you see it happen?
Integral part. Yeah, you do. You do see it happen. You see everything. And I think that that's such an integral part of those kind of life sim aspects of the GTA kind of clone thing. And it's just an integral part of making you feel like you're part of this world, that you can go in a dingy Hong Kong toilet.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's stuff like that is really important. We had a bit of I can't remember exactly when it was, we had a bit of a debate recently about the horse balls in
Sharif
Red Dead
hates them.
Redemption. Yeah, Sharif went off on one about the horse balls, and it's basically like it's a pointless waste of resources to have a team of people getting the horse balls to react properly to the weather. And it's like I don't see it as pointless. If a big part of your game is like immersing people in an environment, that's a huge stuff like that is important. Those micro details, but Sharif was wrong. We all know that.
There's another aspect of Sleeping Dogs which I think really fits with the GTA stuff, which most GTA clones go for like the mayhem and violence, fighting against the police, like crashing into stuff, and you actually very rarely do that in GTA. It's more a po-faced, like really serious crime drama, and Sleeping Dogs is actually one of the best ones of those. That is actually really exciting, and it's just it's just brilliant.
That is a weird thing about GTA, isn't it? Because after Vice City, apart from actually after the third one, because Vice City was just like, hey, what if we did Miami Vice? And then San Andreas was like, what if we did Boys in the Hood? And then what if we do The Wire? And what if we do X and Y? And it's like, and it becomes more and more sort of, it starts off as a parody, but it actually kind of did disappear up its own arse a bit. I still love it, but you can say that.
Is the weeing in Sleeping Dogs? Are we saying weeing, peeing? Is there a term we are all agreeing on? I say peeing.
Passion.
Pish. I'm not using pishing.
Yeah, I think you can go transatlantic with it if you want. I think we just since the YouTube crackdown, we just can't use anything harder than that.
Does it give you any like buffs or anything? Do you get any bonuses for doing a wee?
I don't think so. I think it's just an immersive thing. You're just doing it to really inhabit to really
It's just
inhabit
for
what he's saying,
role-playing,
he needs
Tom.
a wee and you do
I
it.
can
You're just
imagine
role playing as a guy who does a
Jim's
wee.
every game is like, is there a toilet? Can I use it? It's the first thing he does. Straight in.
I do love toilets in a game.
And he actually uses it. He doesn't. There isn't just like, you don't just press E on it and he goes or whatever. He actually uses it.
He actually uses
Yeah, he
it,
does.
yeah.
He probably sits there for a while, doesn't he? Okay, so I want to do a little honourable mention here to the game Singles 2 Triple Trouble, in which you can do the full panoply of toilet events, right? And people can walk in on you. It's fucking brilliant. It's basically a really shit version of The Sims that's all about titillation. And me and David Scammell infamously played it on a Let's Play. And
Yeah, I've seen that video.
yeah, and you can just it's still, I still think about that video a lot because it just ends with you can put your wee guy in bed and select the option for self-service, which is like, it's like a 10-minute animation as well. It takes a while to get through it, but that's another terrible game. Speaking of games that aren't terrible, I hope, Tom, what's your favorite game, or what is the best game in your estimation where you can do
On
a
a
peek?
different show then for a second. My favourite game. My choice, I know you lot have just gone like low effort picks, right? You've gone, what can I just
You've not even heard Kelsey's yet.
Google, what can I pee in game? Top 10 articles on the
I
website
actually
somewhere.
knew mine. I knew it. Off the
So
top of my head.
Cliff has
I was
vivid memories of peeing in his game.
I started the process the other way around. So I was going through every single great game I've ever played and thinking, can you pee in it? Right?
Yeah.
So I spent quite a long time going through this list. It's hundreds of games. And then I got to one. I was like, you can pee in that one. And funny enough, Jim, this game is related to you in some way, in that for whatever reason, I was like, I'm not buying that game until it drops in price to like £4 or something, and it was never going to happen. And then Jim just bought it for me because he's kind like that. And it's a Kami, which which I think we can all agree is the best game that's going to be mentioned
Yeah, this
today.
is such a good pick.
So we might as well just stop. And in that game, the main character, Amaterasu, is that how you say it? Amaterasu? Who is like a wolf dog thing. Learns new abilities and stuff.
I think wolf dog thing is just a long way of saying wolf, isn't it?
Yes, a wolf. Fine, Jim. Oh, I wasn't sure if it was more dog or wolf, so I was wolf.
Right.
You learn new abilities in that game. It's like a action RPG adventure, Zelda-ish like game. If you haven't played it before, it's very good. And one of the moves you learn is called the Golden Fury. And as the name might suggest, that move is literally the wolf peeing on people.
It's not, is it?
It is. It is.
Wow.
It's an
There's
actual.
also-
Yeah, go on, Kelsey.
I was going to say there's another move in which you can shit and use that to basically taunt the opponent, I think.
That's
Yeah.
brilliant.
So I mean, I obviously thought about other games where this happens, and they're more like Bill Cliff's choice. They're like there, but irrelevant, really,
No,
to the overall
integral
game.
to the role play.
Whereas
Absolutely
this
integral.
is an actual move that you can learn and then use to damage your enemies. It's an actual proper part of the game. It's not a token thing. Oh, look, there's a toilet. I'm going to go and wee in it.
Yeah.
It's not like they just built in like a litter box in the corner of a room and said, oh, you can go and pee in that. It's an actual move.
Wolves don't use a litter box.
Have you met this wolf is different to most wolves.
This wolf, to be fair, is probably quite domesticated, I imagine.
So, I mean, not much more to say. I mean, widely regarded as one of the best games ever. I can't really argue with that. And you can pee on people to damage them, and it's called Golden Fury. Like, it's just a great all-round win.
It really is. Yeah, I think. Yeah, you've done. Yeah, you've smashed that, Tom. I think that's. Um,
And you
Do you
brought this on
actually like
yourself.
it?
You brought this on yourself, Jim, because you bought it for me.
yeah, I did, didn't I? I'm a nice
Yeah.
person, aren't I, Tom?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do like it, James. Yeah.
it's a good.
I've not,
Well,
I've
yeah,
not
well, you
finished
don't-
it. I've not
yeah,
finished it.
exactly.
I'm not going to claim
You-
I finished it because I barely finish anything, but I like it.
It's a very good game, James.
So you have no personal connection with it, whatever. You've just sort of cynically.
Well, he does because
cynically
one
whacked it
of
out.
his treasured friends bought it for him. So
Yeah.
And he didn't like it enough to finish it. It couldn't be. It didn't even do you the
no,
service.
that's just being in your 40s and having wains. To be honest,
Yeah.
he doesn't have time to pee himself in the morning. To be honest, So, I know what that's like. It's you're not going to drive a wedge between us this time, Bill Cliff. Okay.
It's not the end of that chapter.
He knows he's lost. He's just
I'll be
desperate.
back.
He's raging.
desperate to
He's raging.
anything he can pick on now.
People
and
are
go
giving
for
me
it.
shit. People are telling me off in the comments the last time I was on for just randomly flailing once I know that I've lost.
Yeah.
When I was just saying like absolute, when I was just coming out with anything about like Wolfenstein and how Doom was bad or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I was just saying words. I don't actually think any of those things.
Yeah.
I was just
I think
trying
you
to
should
win.
double down. I think you should be like, I do think Doom's shite, actually. I think it's shite. I'll say it right now. I think Doom's a lot of shit.
I was trying to say that it didn't do what we were doing. Anyway, old podcast. I'm not going to. Whatever.
Listen,
Anyway.
No point raking over old.
No.
Whatever. All right. Kelsey, what is your favorite? You've already told me, and I love your suggestion, but I think we both know that the other two are.
We both know exactly where it's going. Yeah,
we do.
I do want to make one honourable mention to a game that I didn't pick because I haven't played it, but I discovered it whilst researching this and now want to play it. And it's a game called Urge, which looks like this strange indie survival game in which the world is made out of piss. Wait, are we allowed to say that? The world is made out of pee? The reviews for it are like phenomenal though. People are calling it the piss game and the best open world survival game. But yeah, that's one to look at.
The whole world is made out of pee. So what is it?
No, it's like this really
solid-
foggy world, and
solid
apparently the
pee.
fog is piss. So
Right.
it's all about. It looks like it's about the impacts of piss on the environment. I don't know, but it looks really interesting. It looks quite well made.
Sounds like something off like Infinite Cable on Rick and Morty or something.
Yeah, if I'd have had time to play it, that probably would have been my pick. But anyway, I have actually picked Catherine Full Body. Yeah.
Can you do it? Can you
James's
use the
face.
bathroom in that?
You
It's
can-
a 10 out of 10 game.
No, you can use the bathroom. So there's a restroom in there that you can go into, and admittedly, you can't complete the act of pissing. He just sits on the toilet for a bit, pondering. But I wanted to bring it up because when you do go to the bathroom, you get this mask or these glasses that when you then leave the bathroom, you can see everyone unclothed whilst wearing them. So the whole point of using the bathroom in that game isn't necessarily to go to the toilet, it's to change that mask. But we can imagine that he goes to the toilet, right? This is a lackadaisical guy who does nothing but drink at this bar. He's probably using that bathroom in some capacity or another. And also, before someone comes to me to say that this guy does not piss, the game starts with him talking about having pissed the bed after a nightmare.
Yeah.
So at some point or another, there is piss involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
That's my
Yeah.
argument.
Yeah.
And
Fair
it's a
enough.
brilliant
Yeah,
game.
fair enough. I'm not going to.
It is an incredible game.
I really thought Tom would have a lot to say about that.
I've got a lot actually. I just thought I'd pretend.
You just meant you've won. Yeah.
It's a great game. But I think it's a very it's one of those really experimental games as well, where it's like you can't, even if you personally aren't into it, you can't really deny that it's good. It's one of those sort of like critics' darling ones where
Is
you're
it
like
a game for deviants?
Yes,
slightly,
It's a
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
It's a kind of game.
Yeah.
I don't
One of those- I
play
didn't
those games.
actually know that it existed until
Connor
I
game.
started playing Persona, and then one of my friends who's a huge Persona fan put me onto it, and I was like, a romantic horror, this is totally up my alley.
Yeah,
And it is.
yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that you can walk around this bar with these funky glasses is definitely interesting.
I love it when there's a game of two halves like that as well. When like, and the two halves are completely different but interact in that way. I think it's I love it when gaming does that. Okay, all right. So we've got 3 games here that are actually really good. Once again, the choices are getting better.
Really
Yeah,
good. Really
there
good.
There are quite
Not
a lot of
sure.
games that we didn't even mention that are quite. I thought somebody might bring No More Heroes 3.
Yeah,
Obviously,
I
uses
thought
the
somebody was going to say
Metacritic game
Death
all the time.
Stranding.
I was
Nobody did.
initially tempted to talk about Postal, but then I, opted against that one.
I'm glad you
Yeah,
didn't.
Death Stranding is another one, but also a risky choice because it's the
I
most.
thought you
sort
would
of
go Death
six.
Stranding. I thought that was what you'd pick. to be honest.
I've got a little Death Stranding dude literally here,
Yeah.
but even I know that it's like 6 out of 10.
Yeah, the thing about Death Stranding is that it's shite, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think of all the games that you can pee in, there's one really standout one, actually, which nobody's mentioned, but that's good because I was going to mention it in the bit for paid subscribers only, Tom. And if people want access to that, where you get to find out what my pick is, what should people do? What should people do?
Well, this podcast is actually attached to a website called vg247.com.
Not a lot of people know that.
If you didn't know that, there is a website, and all of us appear on that website in some form. That sounded like we take different shapes. We don't. We just write different things.
Yeah.
And on the website, if you go to the top corner, top right, there's a bit that says support us. You click that, and you have to expand it if you're on a mobile, and then you click the thing, and then you pay £3 a month or 30 a year, and you get the extra bit of the podcast and ad-free browsing on the website if you are a reader of that.
Yeah. It's like using an ad blocker, but you're not literally stealing the food out of our mouths.
But the Paragon version. It's like the Paragon version, not the Renegade version.
Exactly. I will be revealing that pick. And I think a lot of people there'll be people listening to this going, but what about X? And it'll be, well, if you paid the £3, you'll hear me talk about it later.
Otherwise, they'll never know.
Don't worry about it. Otherwise, you'll never know. Yeah. So, all right, it's time to pick something, innit?
Just want to use this time to just make an argument here.
Yeah, go for it. Okay. All right.
Right. Bill Cliff's choice. It's
10
fine.
out of 10 game.
The game's fine, right? We've gone over this so many times. The game is fine, but it's like a 7 out of 10 at best, isn't it?
No way.
That classic 7 out of 10. People like them at the time because it's something it's just something fun to play, but it's like if that game didn't exist, nobody would be like sad about that.
I don't agree with that.
Also,
absolutely untrue.
The actual peeing in it seems completely like token, like it's just a thing.
I also don't agree with that.
To please you two, where you're like, oh, it's so sort of.
If they were like going to put this in for Trinker.
Yeah, it's just, look how it's like I'm part of the world. I can do anything, and it's like, all right, fine. Kelsey's choice. I mean, Kelsey's admitted that she doesn't actually know that the character pees, right? He's just taking a break. He's got a lot on. He's having a rest.
Look,
I can imagine Jim
at some point. Though.
Yeah, he's had a lot of rum and cokes.
You go to the toilet in a bar, right? Like it's like 70-30. You're going for a wee, right?
I just think like if in this game, which isn't shy about certain things,
it's true.
Not depicting the fact that he is pissing suggests he probably isn't.
Yeah.
Because they could have just made it.
I mean, if they were really
clearer,
graphic
right?
about it, it probably would have played well with the bass. So it's an interesting choice, isn't it?
I just think it's not clear. Also, as mentioned, game for deviants, etc.
I do love it. Earlier, Kelsey used the phrase, "Well, it's a Connor game, isn't it?" And we all just went, "Yeah." And
he's going to hate me.
That's become a thing now. So, yeah. I mean, look, I think that there's some basically, because the character starts off. You start the game and the character has peed the bed. Is that right?
Yeah.
It's in the beginning,
Yeah, right in the beginning. And then there's some sort of vague, he can use the toilet. You don't see what he gets up to in there, but you can infer that there's some...
You do see what he gets up to in there, because you do see him just sat on the bog.
Yeah.
But the actual urinating part, you don't see.
Yeah.
But we can assume, because we're smart.
Yeah.
Is the lid up or down?
down, I think. I haven't paid that much attention
If
to
the
it.
lid's,
but down,
if the
I
lid's
think.
down, he's clearly not peeing, is he?
Look, I
You
don't
don't
know
get
what he
this,
does in
chap.
that
Well, he's
loading
no,
screen.
well, if the
Anywhere
lid's
else.
down, he's not doing
Exit in the
anything, is he?
restroom.
If the lid's down, he's just sitting
This
there.
has blown this wide open. I mean, I can't believe this is happening.
Ironically, the lid being shut has blown it wide open.
Yeah.
I think.
That's it, Jim.
Well, the
That's all you
seat's
need to know.
obviously down, isn't it? I think that's probably what Kelsey meant, right? I'm just going to. He's clearly going for a pee, Tom. I think it's, but in the interests of,
Or he's not, and that's why he's pissing the bed.
yeah, yeah.
But anyway,
Well, in the interests of drawing this conversation to a conclusion, I will concede that it's not 100% confirmed that he's peeing at any point, right? Okay. And the only time we do know about him peeing, the player's not in control. So, okay. But otherwise, Catherine's a brilliant game. A genuine modern classic, I think. So it's between Sleeping Dogs and Okami, and I think in my heart of heart, I love Sleeping Dogs. Everyone knows.
Yeah, and therefore you'll pick
Here we
it.
go.
There we go.
He's about to-
Thank
he's
you.
about to go
Play
off
the
on
gym
one.
theme. Play the gym theme.
Everyone
He's picked
knows.
it. Thank you.
Everyone knows I love Sleeping Dogs, right? But in my heart of hearts, I know it's not as. It's difficult because they're very different, but I know it's not as interesting and as good a game as Okami is. Because Okami, I mean, Sleeping Dogs is like. Sleeping Dogs is a great GTA clone, but Okami is arguably one of the best games of all time, right?
Well, it's just, but you
It's
could
like
say that Akami's a Zelda
golden.
clone,
It's like-
right? It's not. Don't do it. Don't do Sleeping Dogs
I'm
down
not
just
doing
because
it
it's a
down.
genre.
I'm not doing it down. I love Sleeping Dogs, but like I can't in good faith be like, you know what? Akami's not as good as Sleeping Dogs. I can't do it.
Imagine,
But Akami's-
imagine
Akami-
cutting about. Imagine, well, like, so when you're cutting about in Hong Kong, you're putting a puffer jacket
Yeah.
on. Imagine when you go into the, you're buying in the shop, when you're going in the shop,
Yeah.
you're buying the clothes, you're driving your car around, you're going, you're doing your missions.
That's not
You're
fair.
kicking
Well,
people
that
in
is
the
the
wolf
one-
can't drive a car. That's
That-
not
Exactly.
Fair. That's
The
not
wolf
a fair
can't drive a
comparison.
car. The wolf can't put a puffer jacket
Yeah.
on. The wolf can't sing karaoke.
They haven't really got long legs, have they? They probably couldn't go the pedals. But I think what we're getting away from here is the fact that, right, you got that is one of, you know, every now and then Capcom has a real proper like good streak. They've had like several golden eras interspersed with like real dog shit eras, right? And Okami is one of their like real golden era games. Infamously didn't do very well in release, but has sort of made up for that since and become beloved with various re-releases and stuff. I think it's very difficult to argue that it's not one of the best games of all time. It's certainly one of the most highly regarded. It probably is, on balance, more highly regarded than Sleeping Dogs. I love Sleeping Dogs. You love Sleeping Dogs, James, but it can't win. It's got to be Okami. And the other fact here, the other point here, is that it literally integrates peeing into the gameplay. It's like it's part of the combat system. It's not just an immersion gimmick. So it's got to be Tom again, and you know how much that pains me.
He's distraught because he thought he had it.
Yeah.
He thought this was a gimme.
You know how much it pains me to give the win to Tom. Every time we start one of these, my goal is to not give it to Tom, but it's
You've still done it, haven't
it's
you?
actually it's undeniable this time. I can't. Can you imagine what the comments would be like if I picked Sleeping Dogs over Akami? It would be a bloodbath.
Yes, and you need to drive that engagement.
I have to
Talked
agree
about
with
this.
Jim on this one.
I think
I would have said that I think Catherine is the best game of these three. I'm not actually bullshitting there.
I think Catherine is.
I think it's the most unique and interesting and memorable game of all three of them.
I don't even disagree with that. But I think.
Unfortunately, there's no.
Can we
there's
change
no,
the pick to
There's no
Catherine?
clarity on the peeing issue. Is
Yeah,
there? So
that's the downfall. We've been over this, James. Right? Okay. So Okami is the best game where you can do a wee, and you can literally do a wee like onto people, as part of the way in which you interact with the world and fight dissidents or enemies, whoever. Not dissidents. That's the wrong word entirely, isn't it? Anyway, but thank you very much for listening. And I'm afraid we have come to the end of this episode unless you pay for it. So
Bum guffs, bum guffs, bum
the
guffs.
Higson klaxon has gone off once again, signaling the end of the road for everyone who is content to just get this show for free, which is fine. We're so happy you listen. And if you do listen and enjoy it, please leave us a 5-star review on the podcast
I
platform.
think we should say for people that aren't watching, Bill Cliff always loses his shit when the bum guffs thing goes off.
I was expecting one.
So, and if you are paying for the podcast, this is what you're paying for. Right. Are we all sick of that yet?